Welcome back, everyone, to the next installment of Chaos Child. We went through a whole lot in the previous installment, and now I suppose it's time for Aftermath. February 2016, no particular date, no particular time. 3 months later. The pleasant music. Morning at the Children's Welfare Facility, Aoba Dorm.
You? もうできるから。
When Uki finished washing her face and came into the dining room, Yuto was already getting breakfast ready.
私がやるって言ったのに。
I mean, I guess when they left, they were good. Now they've all come back.
座ってていいよ。
She looked inside the kitchen and saw that Yuto had already done all of Uki's work for her. Fine, she thought, I'll do the cleanup myself. Then she sat in her chair without further complaint. Lately, Yuki had learned to make a few dishes without resorting to the recipe scrapbook that Kurusu and Yui had made. Of course, her food didn't taste quite as good, but if nothing else, she wasn't trying difficult recipes and burning the pan like she'd been doing right after she came back here. After a short wait, Yuto brought all the dishes to the table.
ありがとう。じゃあ、いただきます。
So unless Kunosato is here for some reason, there's just no parental figure.
いただきます。
Yuto could also make simple dishes himself now. It was his idea and he'd been working hard at it. 3 months after everything that had happened, with its owner Sakuma, and Takaru, Kurusu, and Yui gone, Aoba Dorm itself was in danger. The place had only survived because of Sakuma's salary, so that was natural, but when Shinjo had told them it was safe to go back to Shibuya, they'd both insisted on coming home to Aoba Dorm. Shinjo insisted it was impossible, but surprisingly it was Momose who helped them out. She'd called in a few favors, and Aoba Clinic had become the property of a completely normal private doctor, and some of the clinic's earnings were dedicated to keeping Aoba Dorm alive. Of course, it wasn't a family like it was before. The doctor just worked at the clinic, he didn't manage the dorm. Instead, a nutritionist and nurse, both of whom said they were acquaintances of Momose's, would come by every day. But Uki and Yuto wanted to keep as much of their old lives as possible, so they wanted to make their own food. So on weekends and days when the nutritionist couldn't come, the two of them eagerly went to the kitchen.
おいしい。少し熱く切りすぎたけど。
Only very recently had Yuto started to talk more. After what had happened to Yui and Nono, and then what he'd been told about Sakuma and Takaru, he'd become nothing but an empty shell. Yeah, no kidding. The one thing that had saved him was that even then, he'd stayed close to Uki. He'd wanted to be with someone. Of course, the wounds in his heart hadn't healed. No, they probably never would. The loneliness and regrets would come back to haunt him again and again. Uki herself sometimes had trouble sleeping at night. When that happened, she would go to Yuto's room, because he was afraid of being alone at night, she would say, and the two of them would endure the terror together. The two of them were brother and sister, inseparable now, just like Nono and Takaru had been.
あ、そうだ。受け入れのことだけど。
Uki's chopsticks suddenly froze.
僕はいいよ。
She didn't expect that answer. She'd thought Yuto would refuse.
使ってもらった方がきっといいよ。
They were thinking of accepting new members at Aoba Dorm, which would mean they'd have to use Takaru's and Nono's room. She'd wanted to save them personally. Nono wasn't coming back, but she wanted to believe that Takaru might. But if Yuto had made his decision as the older sister, she had to support him.
そうだね。
She smiled the best she could and started to eat more of her little brother's cooking.
チャオス、ひなえちゃんです。
The door opened and Hinaya Aramura walked into the newspaper club room.
あれれ、花んとこも実習？
The owner of the room raised a hand in greeting without even looking up like she always did.
今日の機嫌はいい方か。
She learned how to tell from the sounds on the keyboard. Arimura sat in her usual spot and took out the book she was reading, Teru Miyake's famous 6,000 Lives and Deaths. There had been an awful lot of free periods lately, and during each one she would either come here and read a book or work on a novel as part of her literature club activities. Miyashiro, Kursu, and Ito were gone, so Kazuki was always here alone. They keep saying Takeru's gone, but, like, we're a person of interest? Maybe they just mean we're, like, gone from the physical location, because we certainly are. And she almost never said anything. There was no need to worry about hearing lies, it was the perfect place for her. After the incident, she spent several weeks in Akihabara before suddenly being allowed to go back to Shibuya. Allowed wasn't the right word, she'd been dragged back here. She hated it, but even if it meant another fight with her family, there was nothing else she could think of doing. There hadn't been any problems with psychics since then, at least publicly. Sometimes Shinjo would call to check on her, but nothing special was going on. But she never expected the case to end like it did. She saw an unfamiliar expression in the book, so she decided to copy it down into the notebook she kept in the newspaper club. Handwriting was the best way to do this stuff, she thought. There was no class in just typing everything onto a computer. She stood up and looked for it on the steel shelves against the wall. But it wasn't where she thought it would be. She reached out her hand towards the back of the shelf, and the papers that had been piled there fell off. Arimura and Kazuki froze when they saw one of them. It was a big map, folded many times over. She didn't have to spread it out to know what it was. It was the one the newspaper club had put on the wall when they were going over the case. But there was no need for it anymore. So the first thing Kazuki had done after she'd come back to this room was take it off the wall. Arimura had come back a few weeks later, but she hadn't said a word about it vanishing. No, it would be more accurate to say that she wouldn't.
そういえばさセリー、少しだけ光に反応したって目が覚める兆候かもって。
Oh? It was something that Shinjo had just told her on the phone. Kazuki turned around to look at her. What will you do? Her face seemed to say. Arimura frowned and scratched her head.
どうもこうも宮代先輩の希望通りにするだけだよ。
There was nothing else she could do. That was the promise she'd made with him. Kazuki nodded and looked somewhere else. Arimura followed her gaze. She was looking at the chairs where Miyashiro and Sarika used to sit. For what it was worth, Arimura hadn't sat there a single time since she started coming here.
じゃあ、伊藤君の方はもう完全に白?
That was Momose's first question after hearing about what had just happened at the hospital.
はい。だいぶ回復してきましたが、本当に思考誘導されていただけのようですね。委員会の情報は持ってないと見ていいでしょう。あと可能性があるのは、尾上と宮代だけなんですが。
I can't believe that this whole thing is mostly unrelated to the committee. Like, I wonder if they're going to play a bigger role in some other branching path or something.
この状況じゃね。
Kunosato and Momose both sighed at the same time. Sakuma was dead. They'd gone over everything he owned as well as his body, but learned barely anything. She had found, with the help of her very, very strange acquaintance in Akihabara, they mentioned twice now, he's a strange guy, we never meet him, that Sakuma had indeed worked at the basement under AH Tokyo General Hospital, but nothing else. There was no data left of Sakuma. She hated to admit it, but the committee was good at their work, and fast. Even the police didn't seem to know who he was. That night, 3 months ago, she still didn't know what had happened between Miyashiro, Onoe, and Sakuma then. But if what she was imagining was correct, especially in light of her last call with Miyashiro, there was a need to question what Sarika had told her at Frisia. She talked a lot about the committee, but looking back, there was a good chance it was a lie used to gain Kunosato's cooperation. As proof, even after she'd taken the psychics out of Shibuya, nothing had happened. Her hacker acquaintance had checked his network and hadn't seen anything at all. With no real reason to stay in Akihabara anymore, she'd come back to Shibuya, but while she was gone, all the threads connecting Sakuma to the committee had vanished. Either she'd screwed up, or maybe... That would be amazing. Which meant they simply gave up on him when he was no longer useful. But there was a lot of equipment that had disappeared from that underground facility. Even if he was the one who'd moved it, someone else must be in charge of it now. If she could find out who that someone was.
あと、たどれる可能性があるとすれば。
Momose looked at Kunosato and tapped her own temples.
ここね。カオスチャイルド症候群。
はい。
That was the one route she still had open to her. It was the piece of evidence she'd chosen to use to get her revenge on the committee. That strange disease that had started showing up in certain victims of the earthquake. What? Her phone began to vibrate in her pocket. She saw the name on the phone and realized that it wasn't time for his usual check-in. That meant something had happened.
どうした？
尾上が。
Oh? Oh? Still February. She slowly stepped into the hospital room. The room was clean, the air was pure. She nodded, satisfied with that. It was disappointing that no one had brought any flowers, but in light of his condition, there was no helping that. His condition? The curtain was closed, so she couldn't see him from here. She walked softly without sound. She approached the bed nervously. She put her hand on the curtain and slowly opened it. The person she was looking for was lying there. She sighed in relief, and then brought her face close to his as if giving a kiss to a loved one. She was close enough that her short hair fell on his face. He's fine. Yeah, he's fine. He's lost a little weight, but it was still the face of the boy she'd known for years. It's gonna be someone completely different, isn't it? She opened the window. Fresh air blew into the room. The weather was great. It was the perfect day to go outside. Oh, really?
速報です。本日午前9時過ぎ、ニュージェネレーションの狂気の再来と呼ばれる連続殺人事件を引き起こした犯人、宮代拓が収容先の病院から姿を消しました。
Whoa.
現場には争ったとみられる警察官の遺体が残されており、
Are you kidding me? Huh.
なお犯人を病院に収容していた理由ですが、警察はカオスチャイルド症候群者である宮代拓を検査するためと釈明しており、警備体制に問題はなかったと。
Wow, that's some ending. That's amazing. And we got the anime credit theme. That is nuts. Also, I love how I can't freaking read the credits. That's a really bizarre decision on the localizer's part. I'll go ahead and skip through this, but... Over Sky End. Wow. That was a lot. Hidden Story has been unlocked. Okay. I Am a Right-Sider. Wow. So if I select New Game, does that do it, or is it under Extra? Well, Ending List. What's Library again? I forgot. Oh, the pictures I found. Music, movie. There's a track I haven't heard. There's multiple tracks I'd never heard. Movie, okay. Ending list. Oh my god. That can't be right. There can't be an ending for all of these fragments, can there? That's ridiculous. That can't be right. But in any case, what if I say continue? Does that just load game? So new game? Would I do new game? Does that make sense? Yeah, that's no good. That's no good. Return to title, please. Maybe I do need to continue game. What if I do load this? Yeah, it's just back to where we were. How do I hidden story? Although, to be fair, when it says other stories unlocked, maybe that means I could potentially find other paths. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to load this save way back in Chapter 4. Let's take a look at some other options here. So we were theorizing, control people's minds, had special powers. I think we went with had special powers. It's been a long time though, I'm sorry. But we're just trying to figure out this concept. So, were they aliens from outer space? And this is clearly very wrong.
なんだって言えばいいのか、宮代記者。
お
I'm setting this to skip so I can go over redundant dialogue. Come on, I was just trying to lighten things up a little.
俺だってわからないことぐらいある。って言ってもいいんだぞ。言わないよ。
I should rethink this. Alright, 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 alright. Yes, and that means they... Of course, we're supposed to go with special powers. No, they, in fact, use tricks to control others' minds. Although, ironically, Sakuma does that, but...
思い返してほしい。未来がわかるという大谷。妙な魅力があったという高柳。そして顧客の心が読める柿田。あまりにも出来すぎな写真の数々を撮影した渡部。それらは全て他人の心を掌握するため何かトリックを使っていたと推測することができる。は？トリックって？一石舞踏。つまりこういうことさ。
I'll give you a lecture on it. My god, we are 6 chapters back.
まずは未来が見えると言っていた大谷だけれど、例えば彼がメディアの人間とつながりがあればまだ世間が知らない情報なんていくらでも手に入れられる。これを餌に自分があたかも預言者であるかのように振る舞うことも可能だろ。そして妙な魅力があったという高柳だけど、そもそも彼女は何度も路上ライブをしていてすでに多少はファンがついていた。一度ファンになってしまえば人間なんて単純なもので、あの人には何か引きつけるものがあるんだという自己催眠をかけるものなんだよ。顧客の心が読めるという柿田だけど、これは単に信頼できる取引を続けていけばいいことなんだ。そうすれば客は勝手にあの人は我々が欲しがっているものを理解してくれていると思い込んでくれる。
そこまで断言できるなら証拠はあるのか？
Itto hit my argument in one of its weak spots.
それはないけど。
ないんじゃしょうがないだろ
うもう一度考え直した方が良くない？
Serica's bringing me back. I was so sure, too.
タク、どうしちゃったの？
一度トイレで顔洗ってくる。
Oh, we're just gonna break it off? We're not going with special powers?
おう、あんまり無理しなくていいぞ。
I have the skip button set and everything, but this is just a different direction,
い
immediately.
ってらっしゃい。
What? That was really weird. I felt a little better after washing my face with cold water in the bathroom. Maybe I've been overthinking things earlier. Now that I'd had a chance to refresh, I should try looking at things from another angle. And then suddenly someone bumped into me from behind. They didn't hit me that hard. I'd only staggered for a moment and hadn't been knocked to the ground or anything. But whoever they were, they clung to my back and didn't let go. At least apologize or something. I tried to turn around to tell them that. And I felt my back start to burn. Are you serious? Like how a single drop of water creates ripples that spread across a pond, the heat spread across my back, and once it spread out far enough, it suddenly turned to pain. Whoa, so is this the crazy Ito ending where we think Ito is the mastermind and then don't realize we're wrong until much later? It hurt. It hurt bad. It felt like fire. I'd never felt anything like this before. Pain. 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 Alright. Alright. What happened? What happened? What happened? What happened? I couldn't even stand. I crumbled to the ground, unable to bear the pain. I didn't have the strength left to turn around and see who was clinging to me. I reached out to touch my back and my uniform was wet. No, the whole back of my body down to the top of my pants was wet. It was like I'd pissed myself. Was there anything more embarrassing than peeing your pants when you were in high school? Why was it wet? I didn't know. I couldn't remember wetting myself. It didn't feel like I had to go to the bathroom at all. I could see the dull gleam of a knife in front of me. The knife was red with blood. And then I knew. I'd been stabbed from behind with this knife. Stabbed? What kind of joke was that? I was at school. Why would I get stabbed at school? My body had crumpled and it wouldn't do what I told it to do. I could only move my legs in spasms as if an amateur puppeteer was trying to control me. It felt like I'd been thrown into a thick liquid. The strength was draining from my body. I was having trouble focusing. All the sounds around me faded away. I somehow managed to move my neck. Using all the strength I had, I turned around to look at the person who'd collided with me. And then I felt a powerful impact on my nose. The next thing I knew, I was lying on the cold floor. They kicked me in the face? Wow, this just goes right into a bad end. It felt like there was a lot of snot coming out of my nose, but maybe it wasn't snot, maybe it was blood. I couldn't breathe through my nose. I kept trying to snort the blood back in and it kept pouring out. My vision started to turn red. What? I mean, I know it's just disguising the voice, this isn't what his voice sounds like, but... What? I didn't know whose voice it was, I couldn't tell. Who was it that stabbed me? Oof. I'm disappointed. What had I done to disappoint him? Someone tell me, please. No matter how much I tried to scream, no one would ever hear me now. Whoa.
こいつは力不足だったんですよ。
What?
宮代拓を殺していいのは私と宮代拓だけだ。
Okay, so I assume that there's no way I could have gotten this ending on a first playthrough because this is obviously heavy spoiler territory.
でも。
思い上がるな、犬だ。
Whoa! And she just broke out her D-sword? Is she just gonna kill Ito in the bad ending? Oh my god!
ごめんね、タク。飽きさせちゃって。
Wow. Yeah, there's no way this path would have been open to us on a first playthrough. This is extreme spoiler territory.
私がもっとタクを楽しませてあげられなかったばっかりに。
This is really depressing.
ごめんね。
Ugh. Ugh. Enough. I'm disappointed. Oh my god, I'm sorry. Wow. Alright. I can't... Whoa. Okay. This doesn't even deserve a name. It was just common root ending. Okay, I guess. Well, in any case, we did get our normal ending, which was very emotional and depressing. And we got this where we're just stabbed in the back and Serica explains to us what happened and why. Man, that was weird. But for now, it's time to stop the installment. Well, we have done it. We finally beat the game. And then I don't know if I'd say beat it again, but we got a wrong end. Wow, this ending was a lot. We have our epilogue, things are settled in. I was wondering why Takaru would have been in a hospital. When Serica went to check on someone, I thought it was just some unrelated boy because she was living a new life, but no. We didn't do it right. She killed people to get to us, and then she brought us out. Wow. That's ridiculous. And that common root bad ending, that was genuinely, that was pretty sad. Serica's sorry that we couldn't be entertained. Oof. I hope there are other ways to go. Until next time, everyone.